Hello and welcome to the StarCommand Podcast. I'm David Seymour here with my good friend Alan Bragg, bringing you all things football. Uh, man, we're getting close to the NFL season, man. I can feel it. I was walking around work today, the NFL Network on, watching the Commanders
Lynn Lions.
Lions preseason game on my phone, and then checked out a little bit of Shadeur Sanders while I was walking around. He didn't look that great. I don't know that he's going to get that job, but it got me to thinking, man. We got that in a Facebook post from a friend of mine who got suckered into a fantasy league and doesn't know anything about fantasy. Thought maybe we make this episode a fantasy episode. Maybe talk about some of our best practices when drafting. Maybe talk about some sleepers that we think might be out there, some people to watch out for, some people that you just know are going to be a stud. So if they're on the board when you draft, you should just pick them up.
Absolutely. I can talk fantasy football anytime. I got three leagues I'm in this year. You're in two of them.
Yep.
And really excited. I've got drafts are coming up. Let's see, it'll be September 6th. We'll have two drafts on the 6th and have a draft on the 7th. So yeah, it's right around the corner. I've already got my litany of mock drafts I've done, so really excited for fantasy football to get geared up so I can actually get my teams locked in instead of fantasizing about what my team's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I know like we were talking just a couple weeks ago, you've got the one league that I'm not a part of that's a franchise league, correct? Where you have to
Keeper
keep.
league, you keeper, you get to keep one league. Can't keep any of your first or second round picks. So all those first, second round picks go back in the draft. But you can pick anybody from third to 16th round. You can keep anybody. Yeah, it's really cool. I've had Jonathan Taylor. I was able to keep maybe last year, I think, because he had coming off an injury.
Yep.
So he was kind of available late, or no, it was 2 years ago. So he was injured and then out last year. I was able to keep him. And he had a great year. But yeah, that's really, I like it because it puts some strategy. Obviously, this year I had the decision of I have Pickens in the sixth, and I'm going to say Travis Etienne, but I was corrected that it's
H-N.
Travis Achan. So I have him in the 10th.
Yeah.
And I know I did spitballing it around with some people, you included, and like, hey, man, what a tough decision. Cowboys fan, George Pickens, right?
You would
Well, I,
think.
I let my fandom stay to the side, and I went with Travis Achan and in the 10th round because he's going to be going fourth round if he's a fourth or fifth rounder. So the
Yeah.
value there is just so huge with me keeping him. And with the mock drafts I've been doing, it really opens up the way I'm able to handle the draft because I have a solidified running back one already in the 10th round.
Yeah.
So if I sneak in the first four rounds, I sneak my other running back and concentrate on receiver and quarterback. My teams have been looking pretty good.
There you go. So for you, Alan, what's your best practice when drafting? Your first round, let's say first through fourth rounds, where are you leaning at, especially with that first round pick? 'Cause I think that's where the whole rest of your fantasy draft kind of gets
Depends where I'm
either,
drafting.
yeah, it
Depends
depends
where I'm
on,
drafting.
okay.
So, like, if I had the first or second pick this year, I'm going with Robinson or Gibbs, right?
Okay.
I'm not going to pass on one of those elite running backs. Um, Other than that, I want to load up on my top wide receivers. Those guys that are going to be competing for the top 10 receivers out there.
Absolutely.
I want to load up on those, but I also am not going to pass up on like I said, Robinson, Gibbs, McCaffrey. Barkley's a tough one. I think Barkley could have a breakout year. He didn't last year. Could that have been a
Right.
one-off? But he's a stud. Um,
Well, and I'm kind of where you're like that with Barkley. I kind of lean that way with McCaffrey as well, just because of the injury history. And it just seems like every year, he's probably had maybe three full seasons of play, and a lot of those seasons he's missed quite a few games. So
well, the seasons where he's a make it or break it for you, if he can win you your league or
yeah,
he can lose it. If you spend that first round pick on McCaffrey and he's healthy, you're gonna be in the playoffs and a top team because he's gonna be a top performer. You also could lose him week 5, and be
Yeah,
struggling. So your depth I think if you're going to draft McCaffrey, you've obviously got to have a stud running back too. And
right.
then you got to have, and you got to have those because you're starting two running backs. You got to have a stud as your second, and then you've also got to have another quality running back, if not two. But I mean, he can make or break it.
Yeah,
I think Barkley's the same way. I think Barkley could come,
Yeah.
he could have a huge year this year because he dropped off just a little bit last year.
Well, I think for Barkley's going to have a huge year for Philadelphia to be any good. The loss of AJ Brown, the new offensive coordinator, um, the joint practices and preseason game with the Patriots, Jalen Hurts didn't look great, and it was very obvious that AJ Brown was going to be missed in Philadelphia. So I think for the Eagles to be good this year, Saquon's going to have a big year. But I'm with you on that. There's a couple of stud running backs that in the first 3 to 4 picks, if you have them, you have to take. But anything from the middle of the first round to the end of to the end of your lineup, you really have to go wide receiver and start loading up there.
I do. I
That's
think you got
that's where your money's at or your points are at throughout the season is wide receiver.
for sure from Puka Nacua, obviously Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, to your Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lambs, and then you get into the next tier of that's your AJ Browns, Drake London.
Yeah,
Then you start going into that tier, but all those guys, right? If you somehow can come up with two of those guys,
yeah,
um, you still the running back position is so deep. So is receiver. Now we both know
right.
there's guys catching passes. There's elite three. Everybody's got three receivers pretty much these days. Um,
Absolutely.
it's not the old days of football where you had one guy, your fast guy, your tall guy, and it was pound and ground.
Yeah,
Yeah, they got guys running in the slots, like a McCaffrey, um, not McCaffrey, McConkey, Lad McConkey.
Lad McConkey.
You've got your guys like that can just your Julian Edelman's back in the day. They can just win you a
Right.
lead by catching 11 balls a game. Um, and in the running
Absolutely.
back position, everybody pretty much has two running backs these days. So that puts
Yeah,
the
it's always running back committee by committee anymore.
almost, yeah.
Um, yeah. What round would you say that you like to wait to start drafting quarterbacks? Do you wait till they start coming off the board, or are you there's a
So
certain round I'm gonna start whether they've been taken or not?
in the leagues, when I've won the leagues, I've taken my running. I like to have a dual threat quarterback.
Okay.
Very big on getting a Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and I've had those guys on championship teams, and I've taken them in the third round,
Yeah.
fourth round. I've taken them early. So I do that a lot. I want that guy that I know is an MVP candidate. And now, do I suffer in other areas? Yes, right. Maybe I'm not getting my second running back in the fourth round, whereas I would get, I could get all three wide receivers and I could go wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, and be loaded. But instead, I'd rather but the reason I didn't do this last year, also didn't make the playoffs now that I'm talking about this out loud. I waited and I didn't get my quarterback, and I ended up having Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert, which you'd think those guys were great. Like Trevor Lawrence came on at the end,
Yeah.
uh, but I usually do go early for those guys. I want those guys. Kyler
Right.
Murray was a guy that I got 3 or 4 years ago was drafting, right? Because I wanted that
Yeah.
dual threat. Um, I don't know who my dual threat would be now. Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts. Got to throw them in the category.
Yeah.
Um, I'm probably missing somebody, but
You could even consider now Caleb Williams isn't as much of a runner as those other guys, but you could use a Caleb Williams as a dual threat. I think he's one of the guys that's on the up and up these days with Ben
for
Johnson
sure.
as his coordinator. This will be the second year in that offense. I mean, he's made the cover of Madden. People have him as a early on odds to win MVP. I know Colin Cowherd's I think moved his base over to Chicago, and I think he's trying his hardest to get a bromance going with Caleb. He just loves Caleb to death. So, um, but yeah,
The running backs are
I usually
interesting.
try to wait until there's a run on them. I'm always and look, I didn't make the playoffs last year either, so who's to say that my way is the right way? But I try to I try to get all of those skill position players as much as I can as early as I can, and then once the run on quarterback starts, I kind of try to get in where I fit in there. So,
Yeah, there's a whole list of quarterbacks going in that. So that fifth, sixth, seventh round, you've got Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Caleb Williams. And that so there's a group of quarterbacks right there that, I would have had Dak last year. My buddy picked right before me, picked Dak. And I had it. I had waited all the way to like the ninth round. And I had my team. I thought I had the team was loaded. I had loaded up, and then he snatched him, and I was like, "Oh, now what am I left with?" So yeah, it's that window of if you don't grab one of the top, throw Burrow in there as grabbing him early.
hmm
Lamar, Josh Allen. Um, I think that'd be the three. Like you keep thinking Herbert is going to take that step, but
yeah. Although, and I know you're right. We always think it is, and every analyst always says this is going to be the year that Justin Herbert does it. But I feel like that if he doesn't do it this year, he's never going to do it. With Mike McDaniel coming over as his offensive coordinator from Miami, marrying the concepts that Mike really wants to run with the deep ball and the area out type offense that he could never quite grasp with Tua as his quarterback, meeting him with the big arm Justin Herbert that really hasn't had an offensive coordinator that's really been trying to be explosive down the field. I really think that those two are kind of a match made in heaven if everything works out. The question is Justin Herbert what we really thought Justin Herbert was?
right.
Because Justin Herbert's been living on potential this whole time.
Yeah,
He's
and I
not.
wish, and for fantasy owners, it's like that one year you draft him and he's going to bust through. And then it could
Yeah,
happen this year. Um, I think, typically going in the first couple rounds, if you can, and I try this, is I'm going to grab the best available, right? Because in
right,
your top 10 or your top 10, that they're great, minus an injury, right? Those are studs.
right.
And then that next round, if I go running back first round, I'm going to go wide receiver second round for sure. It'd be very rare that I would double up running back, running back. It'd be rare. It'd have to be, there would have to be a get a Gibbs and then a
hmm
Barkley and then somehow Barkley fall. Like I picked in the first couple, two, three picks, and then somehow a Barkley fell. Um, you know, O'Marion Hampton would be there.
Right.
Again, Ashton Genty. If maybe you're like, okay, I could get two elite running backs, but it would have to be a special
Absolutely.
situation like that. But typically, if I could get a stud running back, stud receiver, and then three, four, you're taking your whatever the best available is, probably wide receiver. And then I'm debating that running back in the fourth round or the
Yeah.
quarterback in the fourth round. If my guy's there, I'm probably going to pull the trigger and get Lamar or Josh Allen.
There you go. And then we hear all the time about people wanting to marry their picks, right? We talked about running back by committee. So marrying the two running backs from the same team, if you can grab one in the early round and one in a later round. You know, Isaiah Pacheco's been dealing with an injury, but if there's a way to grab Pacheco later, if you happen to get Gibbs in the first round, you get to marry that. Or, you talked about wanting to draft Dak last year, but your buddy had drafted him one pick ahead of you. And I know you somehow managed to always have CD Williams on your team. I don't know. I don't know
CeeDee
how
Lamb, CeeDee Lamb, but
CD
yes,
Lamb. Yeah, yeah, yeah. CD Lamb. I don't know how he manages to fall to you in every year that I've played fantasy football with you. You have managed to have CD Lamb and you have him on multiple teams. So I don't know how you
and I'm going to
finagle
have him this year.
that.
In two of the three leagues. I'm drafting fifth and I'm drafting ninth. He'll be there at five for sure.
Yeah,
And ninth, they're either going to pick St. Brown or they're going to pick CD. So it's either or. But yes, getting Dak and CD, being able to like stack your quarterback for sure.
right.
I will definitely. If I don't get CD, I will get Pickens. I'm going to pick him anyway. And I
hmm
may go with Dak. That's a method I'm thinking about trying. Now you talk about like marrying handcuffing like a running back. There's
hmm
one that I'm definitely doing. I like Tootin. Jacksonville.
Okay. Yep.
And then Rodriguez, the kid that left you guys, is now with
Yep.
Jacksonville. He's there. I think that's a tandem to
Oh,
get.
and
Like if
and
I
that
because
Tootin kid,
Rodriguez, you can take as your last pick in the draft almost.
right? Yeah, he's generally available
Yeah.
everywhere at the end. You'd pick him up on waivers at the end of, but
And Tootin's going around the fifth, sixth round. So you pick him up and then but you could think about that with other like what are some other big you mentioned Pacheco and Gibbs, right?
Gibbs, yep.
Um
I'm trying to think of what other big. Oh, who do they have up there in New England? Trevion
Steve
Henderson and
Stevenson, Ramon Stevenson.
Ramon Stevenson. Yep.
Seattle's got the two-headed monster, right? They've got the Chabernet, and I can't think of the other one, but they've
You're
always got two running backs.
they just drafted one. I forget who they drafted, but you're thinking of Kenneth Walker, who's now in Kansas City.
Yeah, I know he
Who just
left, but
won
yeah,
a yeah,
I'm probably just thinking that they always have a two-back system.
they do. They do always have a two back system over there. Um, that one will be a little bit tricky because Chardonnay's coming off of the torn Achilles or whatever, and he didn't tear it until the playoffs. So I don't know how close to week one he's going to be ready. And they drafted the other kid out of Notre
Jordan
Dame.
Jonathan Price.
Yes, yeah, came out of Notre Dame. He was Jordan Love's
Love. Yeah.
yeah, Love's running mate over there in Notre Dame.
Denver's got a pair, Dobbins and Harvey.
Yep, yep. Dobbins is one though to kind of keep your eye on because he was drafted by Baltimore out of Ohio State and he hasn't had but 1 year healthy his entire career. So that was that year he was with the Chargers.
Yeah, so
So
that's always a good strategy to have, right? Because we
yeah.
talk about the last thing we want to do is draft. Let's go Denver. I think that's a great one because Denver, Harvey was a rookie last year. He was explosive. Dobbins seems to be the bell cow for them. So you'd hate to draft Dobbins and then watch
Hmm.
an opponent of yours kill it because Dobbins either gets replaced by Harvey or goes down with an injury.
Right.
So if you can, that's you want to handcuff those guys because you want to be like, all right, no matter what, I know Denver's going to run the ball. They're a good team.
Absolutely.
I've got that running back. So absolutely an important strategy out there for anybody drafting the dual from a team that has shares the load at running back. You definitely want to try to get both those guys. And it doesn't hurt if you have to go 5, 7, whatever that is. That's huge because you're getting the starting running back for that team.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And as long as you're watching schedules and seeing who they're playing and all of that, then you get the opportunity to start them both. In certain instances, it makes sense to start them both, or knowing keeping your eyes on the injury report, like you said, to figure out who's gonna have the most carries.
There's an interesting running back. What do you think? What do you think about David Montgomery finally getting all the carries now for the Houston Texans? He's one I don't know. I like David Montgomery. I'm a
I
big
like
fan.
him. He's got big heart, and he always plays hard. My concern is that nowhere he's been has he ever gotten all of the carries. So remember, he was in Chicago to start his career, and he
Yep.
was sharing carries over there, and he signed with Detroit to be the guy that carried the ball and got all of the carries. And that same year, they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, and Sonic and Knuckles was born, and
Sonic and Knuckles. That's right. I was trying.
and
I was trying to think of that. I was like Sonic. What was the other name? Good
yeah.
job. Yes.
So Sonic and Knuckles was born, and it was a great marriage. Honestly, I wish I could have kept it going. I thought they were great, but yeah, he's going to be down in Houston. Houston's been trying to solve that running back room for quite a while now. Remember they traded for the running back out of Cincinnati, and he got hurt. They got Nick Chubb, and he got hurt. It seems like every time they try to put somebody in there, something happens. So
Yeah, I
David
like Montgomery.
Montgomery's never really had injury history though, so I'm not worried about that. But I am just kind of concerned he is at the latter part of his career. He's been in the league for a while. Is he going to be able to handle the workload down there in Houston?
Yeah,
So
he's one that's available, and I just you might depending on where he falls, but he's and Woody Marks, the backup there.
yeah, he
He
was
had a
really good last year.
He had a touchdown. I think they played last night. When we are Saturday. I think they played last night. And he got a touchdown for the Texans. Maybe that was Thursday.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looked really good. So that's another one where Montgomery could have a good year, but because of
How many,
marks,
yeah, how
they
many
both
carries
have
is
they
he
both
really going to
have
get?
good years, and you need great years from guys to win your fantasy league.
Absolutely. Fantasy is all about whose players have the best years, you know. And it's a lot of times fantasy, depending on where you're landing in the draft, is finding those guys that aren't on everybody else's radar. Sometimes it's playing the game of the guy that's not been great that you think's going to have the breakout year. Sam Darnold a couple of years ago in Minnesota, and I'm going to segue that right into Kyler Murray. Right, he was a fantasy favorite a few years ago. He's really fallen off, stuck on a bad Arizona team with bad coordinators and bad talent, and he's going to have the a litany of weapons that he has never had before. You know, he's been used to driving old beat up Chevelles, and he's got nothing but Ferraris out there now. You know,
For sure.
you got Jay Jettas, you got Juwan Jennings, Addison, their tight end. I forget his name, but he's a stud.
Hawkinson.
Hawkinson, yes.
They still
So I
got the
just
two running backs, Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, who
Jordan
came
Mason,
over from
yep,
last year from the Niners.
yep,
So yes, they're loaded. I completely agree about that one because he's one I've been taking as my second quarterback in the late rounds because he's just there in all the mock
hmm
drafts. And I don't know if that's how it's going to work out when you get actually live sports fans because they're like, oh, Kyler Murray's available in the 12th. I'm going to get him because they remember the Kyler Murray that can ball out. Um,
absolutely,
but he's a filler for sure because if my rushing, one of my, I always got to take a pretty good backup quarterback because I do get a dual threat quarterback.
right. Or
And
you
so
take Dak Prescott, who's.
Well, I'm not mentioning. I hope he falls to me because I'll take Dak and I'll pair him up with CD. Hell,
Yeah.
I might pick CD and George Pickens, and I just have a Cowboys team and take it all this year. Let's
What
go.
was what was that term that they said Dak came up with?
Greatest offense there is. Go to Gotti.
Gotti, yeah, yeah. We'll see. But
Hey, we hadn't touched on tight ends. That's always an interesting one. The tight end position.
yeah,
When all right, so you're drafting. There's not a tight end off the board. It's the you're drafting from the eighth position. So you got the eighth pick, and it's going to snake back to you for the whatever pick that would be. You Brock Bowers is still there. Any thoughts of taking Brock Bowers or Trey McBride? Those are the top two. Trey McBride, there. I mean, they're 50
I'm
points
not taking.
projected above everybody else.
I'm not taking Trey McBride. I know he's about the only option because Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't really done anything over there, but I don't know who's throwing him the ball. I don't know what kind of offense that they're going to be running. They've got
Jacoby
a whole
Brissett,
new,
baby.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, maybe Carson Beck. Maybe they just let Carson Beck handle that the Hall of Fame game. Jesus,
I may regret this if they do start Carson Beck, but I think I'm taking Brock Bowers. I think with
me too,
Kirk with
100%.
Kirk Cousins over there, Kirk Cousins is the epitome of average, right? But he is also going to be the steady hand, and he one of his favorite targets is the tight end.
For sure. And who
So
was their quarterback last year? Raiders? Do we even know?
I
And he was on fire. Brock
I
Myers was all worldly. So
yeah, yeah, no. I mean, I think they had a few
I
different
can
court
picture the kid. It's like
Gardner Minshew,
yeah,
Aiden O'Connell started for a few games. I mean, it was just
I can picture them. I just can't think of their names.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So
absolutely, I agree. Brock Bowers is the pick, and depending on how it's fallen, like I'm also in a league. It's very interesting where it's on NFL app. And you draft, it's one year in. We have
yeah,
to draft our starting lineup first. So
yes,
that's a league where, yes, I'm taking Brock Bowers because everybody else, you can't have five of the best receivers on your
no,
team. You have to have a quarterback, two running backs, two receivers, a tight
yeah,
end, a flex, a defense, and a kicker. Everybody has to fill their lineup before they can take reserves. So absolutely take Brock Bowers in the second round. You're
hmm
that's the one I'm 100% taking my quarterback in the second or third round because I'm getting my guy. I'm filling out my studs, right? And
right,
then, and that's a league where I might be weaker at receiver, but man, I got the tight end, I've got my quarterback. So it's all, what kind of rules you have, but I know there's a drop off, right? After you get to because you have McBride and then Bowers. And then the drop off, I think it's Sam Laporta,
Yeah, Sam
Tucker,
Laporta's good.
Tucker Kraft,
Hawkinson's
Kyle Pitts, and George Kittle.
yeah,
And
but
we know that
Kyle Pitts is one of those is he's a Justin Herbert kind of
Justin
guy,
Herbert.
right? You know, we've been waiting on him to pop. Everybody's drafting him high every year in fantasy because this is going to be the year, and he underperforms every
So
time.
that's the
So
drop. Think about that drop off. If you
yeah,
don't get one of those top two guys, you got Laporta, who's I'm not a big Laporta fan, even though he does put up numbers. He puts up
yeah.
stats, he puts up points, but just
Who's
not a
that
big fan.
kid in Chicago though? Colston
Loveland,
Loveland.
Loveland, yeah.
He's going to be one to watch out for this year.
Let's see if I can see where's he been going in the drafts. Yeah, you're right. He is in that he is with Bowers and McBride. He's at third tight end. And that's where the drop off. It's after him, I believe, and then goes Laporta, and then you got that tier of guys, and then after that, it's the Dalton Kincaids, the Jake Fergusons, um,
Yeah,
Harold Fannin for Cleveland.
Dallas
It's
Go
one of those guys.
Bears.
Yes,
You know, hoping that maybe Travis
catch
Kelsey.
touchdowns.
Yeah,
You hope they catch a touchdown. That's all you're waiting on. They're going to have
right.
maybe four catches for maybe 36, 40 yards, which is 8 fantasy points, and
Yeah,
then you got to hope for a touchdown.
yeah. Well,
I had a guy in my one of my leagues, the keeper league. He kept Brandon Aubrey
as his
in
kicker.
as his keeper. Yeah, he kept the kicker. What pick was that? Let me see if I can find it. I think it was in the like 12th round.
Well, kickers are becoming an important part of fantasy football
They
these
have been
days.
because those 50 yarders are normal now, right?
Right.
So
And then
that's
you've got guys like the Jaguars kicker kicking 70
Cam
yards
Little.
in the, yeah, 70
Woo, big
yards in the
suey, baby.
preseason.
It's a
Yeah.
Razorback right there. Dude, there's a kicker for the Green Bay Packers last night, a rookie from Florida. Shaft, I think his name is, was
Uh-huh.
drilling 50 yarders. Like, I mean, look like Brandon Aubrey. They are at the top of the uprights going straight down the middle, 55 yards. Then
Like,
he kicks a 58 yarder straight down the middle, Todd. And they're like, oh my gosh. And I'm thinking thinking, man, is this the new kid? Like, hope nobody else is watching that. So then I went and checked. Dude, he is projected to only have 60 points this year in fantasy. So he's not on the radar yet, right? And
yeah.
he obviously won that job because he's just drilling them. So these kids are
Jeez.
getting amazing at kicking the football.
They really are. What does Pat McAfee always say? Kickers are people too.
They are. Until they got to make a tackle.
So we're running right up on the end of it. So give me your best fantasy sleeper to be on the lookout for this season.
Oh, let me see my best fantasy sleeper. I'm going to go with two. I think there's two guys. Let me put them out there. It's going to be a duo of Green Bay receivers.
Okay.
Green Bay's been struggling for that number one, and I'm not. It's going to be either Jaden Reed or Matthew Golden.
Okay.
One of those two guys, I think, is going to have a breakout year. I think that they got Christian Watson, who everybody expecting to be the number one, but those two, the Golden's out of Texas, rookie. I know you know him.
Yeah.
He was a rookie last year, and then
Yeah.
Jaden Reed's a stud. I really like that guy, and I think he's ready for a breakout year. So those two guys, Green Bay's offenses can be potent. Watch out for those two Green Bay receivers. If you can get them in the late rounds, I think they can really help fantasy team.
Yeah. I'm going to give you two as well. I already mentioned one of them. I'm going to say Kyler Murray. People are going to be sleeping on him because of what he's done the previous couple of years. And then the other one is going to be Romeo Dobbs over there in New England.
Leaving the
AJ
Packers.
leaving the Packers, going to New England. Drake May's got a cannon for an arm, and AJ Brown is always going to command a double team. And Romeo Dobbs has never played with a true number one wide receiver. And I think he has a breakout season this year.
All right.
So, well, man, guys, we appreciate you. Again, Alan is still trying to give out $100. If anybody can guess the name of this bear, you must be a subscriber and guess on the comments of YouTube. But other than that,
Yeah,
man, we
throw it out
appreciate
there.
you.
There's no bad guess. Just throw it out
Right.
there. You can guess multiple times. Hey, I think well next week are we getting into games? When are our picks going to be coming out? I'm ready to let these people win some money.
I think we probably have some picks next week to get ready for the following week for week 0. Actually, no, we should be doing week 0 picks next week, actually. So we'll have some actual real college football picks. So we'll have an NCAA week next week to get ready for college football season and our first set of picks. So
Let's go.
absolutely. And with that, guys, we appreciate you listening. Remember, like, subscribe, share, all the things. And Star Command is out.